Coming up tonight on YCN News, community revitalization in Vermont begins as Governor Peter Shumlin shows with bills signed into law today. 4 people whose work helping Claremont, New Hampshire become a tighter-knit community will be honored on Thursday during the Greater Claremont Chamber of Commerce President's Awards ceremony. And a Vermont prison inmate faces a simple assault charge after scalding the back of another inmate with hot coffee last week. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Community revitalization in Vermont begins from the ground up as Governor Peter Shumlin shows with the bills he signed into law today. Jobs, affordable housing, and transportation investments will go a long way toward helping the state remain vibrant. Shumlin chose the northern part of the state in St. Albans to speak today, yet the legislation will help downtown centers across Vermont. By directing more development to community centers, says Shumlin, the growth of Vermont cities and towns will thoughtfully be planned. The 3 House bills are 809, 823, and 740. When looked at as a whole, the bills aim to discourage strip mall development and changes how developers pay for infrastructure projects related to new retail, commercial, or residential building. A major agreement was reached regarding this topic, spelled out in HB 740. Developers will now only be required to pay for the traffic improvement needs their project creates. Shumlin says the legislators' work on these topics is supported by the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, the state's Natural Resources Council, and the Vermont Realtors Association. Other statewide business and economic development groups also were involved in the shaping of the bills passed by lawmakers. Turning to New Hampshire, 4 people whose work helping Claremont become a tighter-knit community will be honored on Thursday during the Greater Claremont Chamber of Commerce President's Awards ceremony. Since 1917, the Chamber works to represent the community's business interests. 4 different award categories will be recognized along with the people, company, or service behind the award. This year's winners were selected from nominations by fellow citizens and business colleagues. Chamber President Melissa Richmond tells more.
Well, in order to build a strong community, you have to have great leaders, and it really helps for people to understand how much work it goes into being a leader in a community. There's a lot of effort and sacrifice, and so we really want to be able to thank those people who are putting all that effort into it. This year, our winners for Citizen of the Year is Phyllis Muserl. She is the owner and the editor of the E-Ticker, which is the digital newspaper for Claremont. The Business of the Year is Structal Bridge, which is a division of Can-Am. And they, among being a huge employer and a wonderful chamber supporter, they also are the largest sponsor of the new Claremont 250th sculpture that's going up. They're going to be building and donating the steel for that. The nonprofit of the year is Claremont Parks and Recreation, and as I think probably the whole community knows, that it's been a huge year for Parks and Recreation, with the new community center, and just a huge benefit for the whole community. They probably have the largest impact right now on Claremont of any nonprofit. And our Young Professional of the Year is Caitlin Proctor, who is the editor of the Eagle Times here in Claremont as well. And she is very active in the Young Professionals Network and with the Kiwanis and just in being in the know in general. So we really want to make sure that the community knows all the good work that these people are doing, and also just be aware of all the different groups that are in Claremont, because most times we think we know a lot of people, but there's a huge amount of other organizations out there doing great work.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Last week, YCN reported that tick season is here, bringing with it the risk of Lyme disease in New Hampshire. Now in Vermont, Governor Peter Shumlin has signed a bill that will allow doctors more ability to treat long-term symptoms of tick-borne illness. Vermont Public Radio reported that Shumlin said Vermont has one of the highest rates of Lyme disease in America per capita, and what we know about Lyme disease is that if not detected early, it is an extraordinary debilitating disease. VPR noted that the number of Lyme disease cases in Vermont has grown substantially since 2002, in which there were 11 cases, to 2013, which had 674. The new law signed by Shumlin will require the State Board of Medical Practice to issue a statement assuring that it won't censure doctors who use alternative treatments for patients with ongoing diseases such as Lyme. Typically, when Lyme disease is caught early on, the antibiotic treatment lasts up to 4 weeks. If not treated soon, it is much more difficult to diagnose and treat, VPR reported. Long-term antibiotic treatment is controversial in the medical world, as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention discourages it. This opposition has led to patients struggling to find doctors in the state who will use antibiotics for longer periods. VPR reported that the International Lyme and Associated Diseases Society includes prolonged antibiotic treatment as effective in the guidelines for treating ongoing Lyme. Senator David Zuckerman said the law removes restrictions or perceived restrictions on doctors from being able to practice a wide range of medical care for people with Lyme. A Vermont prison inmate faces a simple assault charge after scalding the back of another inmate with hot coffee last week. State police say 36-year-old Jalbin Masamba of Scranton, Pennsylvania, followed 25-year-old Timothy Williams of New Haven, Vermont, into Williams' prison cell shortly after 3:30 p.m. on May 16th. Masamba poured the hot drink on Williams, causing minor injuries. Today, state police arrested Masamba for the intentional coffee spill, charging him with simple assault. Police say Masamba was angry at Williams for removing his coffee from the microwave so that Williams could heat up his own food. Both inmates are housed in Rutland at the Marble Valley Regional Correctional Center. Masamba is set to appear in Rutland Criminal Court on June 30th. He is currently in jail pending 2 charges of alleged false pretense and impersonation. If convicted of the May 16th simple assault charge, Masamba could be fined $1,000 or imprisoned for 1 year. He also can be fined and jailed if found guilty of the coffee scalding charge. As Americans mark Memorial Day ceremonies, as some will be held on the traditional May 30th day, National Public Radio reports today that 9,800 service members will remain in Afghanistan after 2014. By 2016, NPR reports, most troops will be out of the country. The drawdown of troops is expected to end the combat mission of the nation's longest war. It's been said that when the world ceases to satisfy, there is always the garden. Share the beauty of your backyard garden or daily walk with us by sending your spring-themed photos to news@ycnnow.com. Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now, Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next few days and then move on to high school sports.
Thanks, Rose. Tonight we have a 70% chance of precipitation, mainly after 3 a.m. Skies will be cloudy with lows around 49 degrees. Tomorrow we'll have a high of 63 degrees with a 30% chance of rain before 11 a.m. Winds will be around 5 miles per hour. Wednesday night will be partly cloudy with lows in the 40s. Thursday will be mostly sunny with highs in the 70s and calm winds around 5 miles per hour. Thursday night we have a 40% chance of showers with cloudy skies and a low of 48 degrees. Turning to our northeastern map, we can see the cloudy overcast moving over us. There are still some scattered showers out there heading towards us. This is more obvious as we look at the national view. There are lingering showers around us expected to start tonight. Storms further away west of the Great Lakes are expected to reach Vermont and New Hampshire by Friday, continuing our stormy weather. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. In Grantham, the Board of Selectmen will meet at 5 p.m. In Vermont, the Norwich Select Board will meet at 6:30 p.m. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. There are 2 games involving our local Newport and Mascoma baseball and softball teams. The Newport Tigers dominated Mascoma yesterday in a face-off at the Newport High School baseball field. The Mascoma Royals tried their best to keep up with the Newport Tigers but could not make enough runs to pass Newport. The final score of the game was 13-2. Newport will continue to play tomorrow at Conant High School at 4 p.m. Mascoma will face Fall Mountain School tomorrow as well. Meanwhile, the Newport High School girls played against Mascoma High School while the boys' game was happening. In this game, the Tigers shut out Mascoma with a 12-0 win. What a great victory for the Newport Tigers. The Tigers' record stands at 12 wins and 3 losses, an impressive record for the team who also ranks 3rd in NHI AA Division III softball. Newport will also host Conant tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. Mascoma will play against Fall Mountain School also tomorrow. On a different note, the Woodstock High School boys lacrosse team crushed BFA St. Albans 11-2 yesterday. Woodstock is now on a 5-game winning streak. Their record stands at 10 wins and 3 losses. Woodstock is set to play against Brattleboro High School tomorrow.